Things just got heated in the NASCAR world when Denny Hamlin gave a harsh response to the recent decision to remove Hendrick Motorsports' points penalty. With tensions running high, many are wondering whether this latest controversy will ignite a high-octane battle on the track. Join us as we dive into the latest chapter of this adventurous drama. But before that, please subscribe to our channel and hit the like button for more whereabouts on NASCAR. Denny Hamlin hurls a scathing rebuke at the decision that NASCAR made to reverse the points punishment that was imposed on Hendrick Motorsports. Denny Hamlin's mood was not improved by the information that Hendrick Motorsports would be released from some of their L2 level penalties if they successfully appealed those penalties. The decision of the National Motorsports Appeal Panel to reverse the points penalty that had been imposed on the 4 Hendrick Motorsports vehicles has been the subject of much discussion in the NASCAR community since it was announced on Wednesday. The crew of the number 31 car at Colleague Racing, on the other hand, has not been given back their points as yet. Denny Hamlin used Twitter to remind his supporters of how he was penalized earlier in the season. It would appear that he was frustrated with the decision, which was made by a body over which the governing body had no control. Hamlin was given a fine of $50,000 and had 25 points deducted from his regular season total for his involvement in an altercation with Ross Chastain at Phoenix. The Joe Gibbs Racing driver was given the penalty after the race weekend had concluded. Before that, he had discussed the race on his podcast titled Actions Detrimental, produced by Dirty Mo Media. Hamlin's attitude suggested that he was upset by the decision to reverse the point deductions imposed on Hendrick Motorsports, and by the fact that Daniel Suarez was given merely a fine for his intentional contact on the pit road. His displeasure was communicated via his official Twitter feed, where he wrote the following. Just as a reminder, I went on a podcast and reportedly broke 3 rules. 24 hours later, $50,000 and 25 points. The penalty that Daniel Suarez was given, on the other hand, appears to be consistent with previous penalties that were meted out to Ty Gibbons during the previous season. The driver for Joe Gibbs Racing received a fine of $15,000 for his first offense, then a fine of $75,000 and a 25-point reduction for his second offense. Last week, the 3-time winner of the Daytona 500 came back to his popular podcast and talked about the past week. During that conversation, the driver talked about why he said at first that he wasn't going to appeal the penalty, how Joe Gibbs directly affected that decision, and why, in the end, he changed his mind. At first, Hamlin said on Twitter that he would not try to get out of the penalty. He wrote, "I won't be making a case to NASCAR. I will, however, make a plea to the people. On Monday, I'll see you." A few days later, Hamlin was singing a different tune. In a tweet, he said, "After much thought, I've decided to appeal NASCAR's decision to punish me. What happened on Sunday was a hard race, which is something that happens every weekend. There was also no cheating or anything else that would hurt the sport." Hamlin says that at first, Joe Gibbs told him not to file an appeal. Fans watched this week's episode to find out what Hamlin thought about the penalty. The JGR driver said that it wasn't much because he didn't want the plaintiffs to hear his side of the story before the appeals process. But he did talk about the appeal and why he was against it at first, as well as who influenced that choice. Hamlin said, "At first I wasn't going to appeal this because my owner, Joe Gibbs, who I love like family because we are family, called me and said, 'Hey, this is obviously not ideal. But I've talked to sponsors and the team, and we just want to let this go. We just want to get past this. Everyone is fine, so let's stop talking about it and move on.' I was like, fine, it's not what I want to do, but I'll do it because Dad told me to. I also need to be a good teammate and do what my team owner asks of me. So I went to bed and thought about it. When I woke up, I had an email from NASCAR with all the things they said I did. I called Joe and said, 'Joe, I didn't do any of these things.'" Gibbs said he wanted to talk about the situation with other team members, like President Dave Alpern, Hamlin's crew chief Chris Gabehart, and a few executives. He further said, "He put me on speakerphone, and I told everyone what I was accused of doing. This isn't the truth. This is wrong. And when it was over, they just said, 'We get it. If you want to go to court, we'll back you up.' So here we are." Well, what do you think? Did Denny Hamlin have a case? Tell us in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click the bell button for more updates. Even though many people, including NASCAR, say Hamlin wouldn't be in this situation if he hadn't said what he said, here we are, as he said. So does he have a legitimate defense? The JGR driver was accused of breaking sections 4.4b and d of the NASCAR Member Code of Conduct, which is against the rules. B says, trying to change the outcome of a race or championship, crashing or spinning another vehicle, even if it doesn't get taken out of the race. D says, actions by a NASCAR team member that NASCAR thinks is bad for stock car racing or NASCAR. Some would say that for Part B, Hamlin can point to Joey Logano and William Byron last year at Darlington, when the Penske driver openly admitted after winning that he made a move on the number 24 HMS car as a revenge move late in the race that changed the outcome of the race. nothing happened to the 22nd team. Hamlin doesn't have much of a case with Part D, which is about actions that are harmful. This is a very vague and open-ended term, in other words, hard to argue against. NASCAR can say that anything is bad for the sport. What Hamlin did on the track, he talked about this on his podcast. All of those could fit the bill. Everyone will have to wait to see how the appeals process goes. Until then, Hamlin will keep doing his podcast, and you can be sure that he will be very careful with what he says. The sanctioning body has stated that the appeal filed by Colleague Racing about the penalty imposed on the number 31 team will be heard on April 5th, and that the appeal filed for Denny Hamlin will be heard on April 6th. Now let's talk about the last NASCAR race and Denny Hamlin's thoughts on it. And when it comes to the level of competition at COTA, Denny Hamlin agrees with those who compete most on road courses. A lot has been made of the kind of racing that we saw mid-pack onwards at the Circuit of the Americas last weekend. Although there was some terrific racing up front, the Echo Park Automotive Grand Prix was hampered by bumper car syndrome from the middle of the pack onwards. Kimi Raikkonen and Jenson Button, both of whom have won the Formula One World Championship in the past, together with IMSA ace Jordan Taylor and NTT IndyCar Series driver Connor Daly, were among the notable drivers who competed in the event itself. Each of these drivers appeared to believe that the Cup Series field was capable of performing better than what they did over the previous weekend, and as a result, some of them received criticism from the media and fans. Denny Hamlin appeared to disagree with the drivers who were receiving criticism from the media, and he defended their actions by saying the following. 3 guys we put on a pedestal before the race as some of the best and most talented drivers all came out of the event saying it was ridiculous. Now all of a sudden we want to brush it off? Yep, nothing to see here, it's what we do. This next Sunday, the Toyota Owners 400 will be held at Richmond Raceway, and you can see Denny Hamlin compete in it. So that's all we've got for today. We hope you enjoyed it. Tell us what you think of the video in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in the upcoming video.